props available to you. Blocks, a blanket, they work great. You can grab a throw or anything from off the couch. If you don't have blocks, a tall water bottle, that usually works well. And it's not necessary to have those props if you don't want them. So go ahead and get settled. Sit up nice and tall, roll the shoulders back and down. And after kind of rushing around to get settled by 6 o'clock, now take this time to truly deepen the breath. Feel yourself grounded towards the floor, letting go of your day. Nice long inhale through the nose. And nice long exhale through the nose. Good, nice job. Notice anywhere in the body that you're holding on to tension, or maybe your mind's still caught up in the tasks you were doing earlier today. And that's all perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But now's the time to set that off to the side and just let your full awareness be with the breath. Just the same if the mind keeps jumping to the next thing, the next task, or what's going to happen tomorrow. This is your opportunity to truly tune in to the present moment. Take one more full and deep inhale. Exhaling through the nose or the mouth. You can sigh out if you'd like. And then drop the chin all the way to the chest. Notice if the shoulders have started to round forward. See if you can continue to lift the chest towards the chin, keeping the back long. And then we'll slowly bring the head side to side, moving in any way that feels good for your body at this moment. We'll do one or two more breaths. Head can move around in a full circle or continue side to side. And then bring the chin all the way to the chest. Good, nice job. We'll roll the shoulders back and down, lifting the gaze back up, hopefully feeling refreshed, renewed. And we're going to come all the way up to stand. Good. All right, so we're going to start off with a little review of our upward facing hands position and some of the stability focus from our Tadasana pose. So start by rooting down into the feet, and you can just rock from the toes to the heels, finding that center point. Notice how you can engage the legs, and that starts to bring a little bit of the core work stability that we created through the center of the body. Reminder that core is not just the front of the body, it's the outer hips, it's the low back, whole area stabilizes. And then press down into the feet, let the toes be light and spread out. And then feel that little tuck of the pelvis that draws the belly in and lets the tailbone drop. Good. We'll inhale, reach those hands out in front of you, and then all the way up. Good. Think about climb like you're going to climb up a ladder. You're reaching a little bit taller, getting that length through the sides of the torso instead of the shoulders up towards the ears. Good. When you feel that length, we'll take a nice big inhale, pushing into the feet, reaching up through the fingertips. And exhale, bring those hands down. Good. The next time we bring the arms up, we're going to reach the arms out to the side, and then we're going to wrap right elbow over left, giving ourselves a nice big hug. Good. So can't hug anybody else. We can hug ourselves, right? If this is comfortable for you and you want to go a little deeper, you can start wiggling your fingertips back and almost tuck onto the shoulder blades, giving yourself a little massage. If that's too much, you can always just hold opposite arm here. Good. So we're going to squeeze in. Good. Shake out the head and neck. You can give a little wiggle. And then imagine that you're lifting, taking off like a big comfy sweater. We're going to reach our arms up over our head until our wrists cross. Once our wrists cross, we turn the palms to face towards one another, and we find this little shape around our head. Elbows are just above the ears. Good. If this is too much for you, you can just bring the back of the hands together if it's too intense in the shoulders. Otherwise, we'll keep that cross. Notice if the neck has any tension, shake that out. Hands might be on a diagonal in front of you, or they can be up overhead. And then we're actively dropping the shoulder blades. You might feel a little sensation running through the top of the shoulders. Good, nice job. Take a nice big inhale, reach up, pull the pinky fingers back, and root down into the feet. Good. As you exhale, we're going to reach the hands apart and slowly float them down. Feel that tingle run all the way down into the fingertips. Good. Our next inhale brings the hands out to the side again. We're going to wrap left over right this time. Little self-hug. Can squeeze, wiggle, wrap the fingertips around the shoulder blades. Make sure the shoulders are away from the neck. So you have your long here. Good. And then root down into the feet. Again, you're going to lift that big comfy sweater up. Once the wrists cross, turn the palms in. Bend the elbows to get space around the neck, and then pull the hands back any amount. Good. If your outer arms or top of the shoulders is a little too tight that you're holding the breath, you're getting caught, then back up. Do a little less. Root down into the feet. And then here we'll start to correct what happens in the body when we lift the arms up. If the rib cage comes forward and you start to stick the butt back, see if you can draw the rib cage down and draw in through the center of the body. Good. Nice job. One more big inhale, reach up. And then exhale, we'll bring those hands down to the low back this time. As they come down, we're taking fists or palms to the low back, either one that feels good for you. And then keep that active drawing in through the belly, pushing with your core so that the low back pushes into the fists. Same time, we'll pull the elbows towards one another. Good. Take a nice big inhale. Hopefully those shoulders feel a little warm. We'll shake out the head and neck. Lift the chest slightly without letting the low back spill forward. And then exhale, we're going to bend the knees and slowly fold. Think about placing the belly on the thighs and then coming down. Good. Hands can come down towards the floor, or you might use those blocks here. They can also hold on to the knees or shins. And we're just going to give the head and neck a shake. Good. Anything that's still in the mind, just let it go. You can start to sway the hips side to side, starting to open up the hamstrings. Good. With your next inhale, walk the hands up higher than they are. So if they're on the floor, bring them to the shins. If they're on the shins, bring them to the thighs. And we're going to pull the heart forward, come into a flat back position. Big inhale breath. Exhale, folds, and let go. Try that 2 more times. We inhale to lift up, create space, draw the belly away from the thighs, and exhale, fold. The legs might get a little straighter. And last one. Nice job. Exhale, fold. Slight bend in the knees. Reach the hands down towards the floor and step back to tabletop position. Good. We're going to be here in table for a few breaths. So if you'd like some extra cushion for your knees, feel free to add that in. And we'll root down into the hands. We're going to inhale, pull the heart forward into our cow pose. And exhale, round and release into cat. Inhale, pull forward. And exhale to cat. One more just like that. And all the way into your cat pose. Really draw the belly in, root down into the hands, chin to chest. And And then continue to push into the hands. Let the hips slide back towards the heels, coming into our first child's pose. So just as a review, child's pose is a great place to come to anytime there's a little too much going on in the body or mind. So if you start to hold the breath, if you start to kind of pant or the breath gets away from you, those are all signs to do a little less. If you're uncomfortable in child's pose, widening out the knees can help, and you can also stack the forearms for the head. Use a block or a prop too. When you're ready, we're going to come back up. Good. And we're going to add in a little bit of work for the wrists as we do our cat-cow. So when we inhale, think about bringing the shoulders over the wrists and kind of leaning forward. Inhale for our cow, and then exhale, press into the hands and let the hips sit back, more like half child's pose. Good. So when you inhale, we're going to bend the elbows this time. We're going to scoop through and then straighten the arms and bring those wrists into flexion. So you might be able to see my shoulders are slightly past my wrists. And then we're going to round and sit back. Good. So try that cycle a few more times. We bend the elbows, scoop the chest through, and then really push into the hands as we warm up those wrists and round back. 2 more just like that. Nice job. Good. When you get back into that downward face, or excuse me, into that child's pose, we're going to continue to crawl the fingertips forward. So think about making the arms longer, get more length. Press down into those hands and then shift forward. Shoulders should be behind the wrist already. Tuck the toes under and lift up, downward facing dog. Good. We want to make sure that the chest is pressing back. You're looking towards the center of the mat and the knees are bent to start with. Good. That gives us as much space as possible in those hips and hamstrings. You can wiggle the hips a little higher. Press into the hands. Feel the shoulders pull away from the ears. Arms are active. Good. But not locked out. Take 2 or 3 more full breaths. If you need to come down sooner and reset something or just take a rest, feel free to do so. Good. Last one. Nice, slow, steady breath. Brings you all the way back down, tabletop position. Good. You can sit back on the heels or come up to the knees. And we're just going to roll out those wrists a little bit. Good. All right. So as we build, if you're feeling any pressure in the wrists, the first thing I want you to try to do is to press the hips back. For the most part, what I see when there's pressure in the wrist is you're more in a plank position here as opposed to way back here. So try that out if that's what you're experiencing. All right. We will come back up to tabletop position, set up second time around. This time we're going to make it a little bit more active in the core. So tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the floor to hover, and feel the low belly and low back engage. From here, just like we did in our forward fold, place the belly on the thighs as you press into the hands. Hips are low and knees are bent. And then when those legs start to fire, that's when we straighten them out and let those hips lift up. Taking our time to set up a nice, strong posture. Give the head and neck a shake. And here we're going to start to pedal out the heels. Bend one knee and then the other. Of course, listening to your body. If you need to take a break at all, make sure the fingers are spread wide. You're pressing into the whole hand. Last 2 breaths here. Find some movement. Shake out the head and neck. Last one. And we'll come all the way back down. Child's pose or tabletop as you rest. Nice job. Good. Roll the shoulders back and down. Push into those hands, and we're going to bring that all together. So those hands are going to walk forward. Spread the fingers out. Look for those pizza slices between the fingers. Tuck the toes under. Hover the knees. Good. Place the belly back towards the thighs. Chest presses back. And then slowly start to lift those hips up. Good. From here, only if it feels okay for the shoulders and the wrists, then you can start to straighten the legs and push the heels towards the floor. They probably will not touch, but we're moving in that direction. Nice job. Shake out the head and neck, gazing towards the big toes. Here, we're going to hold and breathe. Try for 5 breaths. If you need less, do less. We'll all meet in child's pose in just a moment. Good, great job. Make sure those shoulders stay away from the ears. Very last one. Lower down nice and slow with control. Back to your tabletop position, into child's when you're ready. Good. Here, take a few long breaths. You can inhale through the nose and sigh out through the mouth. Hopefully the upper body and lower body starts to feel a little warmer. And then we'll come back up to that tabletop position. If you have blocks, let's go ahead and grab them. And we're going to step the right foot forward. So blocks just act as an extension of the arm. Again, you can use another prop or not at all. We're going to step the right foot forward, and we're looking for about a 90-degree bend in the front knee as well as the back knee. Okay. When you get into that lunge position, start to walk the hands up to the knee and check in on your balance. If that feels really unstable, walk your right foot out to the side a little bit. Good. As you get up there, we're going to bring the hands to the hips and start to drop the outer right hip as you even them out. Good. At the same time, we're trying to scoop the tailbone under. You're going to feel a little opening on the front of that right thigh. And then we're going to lift those arms up, upward facing hands position. Palms facing in towards one another, and then we drop those shoulder blades. Neck is long, and the breath is steady. Good. We're going to come into some side bends next. And I want you to make sure that you feel stable side bending before you really get nice and deep. So take an inhale. We're going to take the right hand to the right hip. Drop the right hip as you reach over. Good with that left hand. If that doesn't feel good, your hand can come down, elbow can support on the knee, or your hand could come down to the block or the floor. Good. We're getting a nice big stretch. Continue to push that left hip forward, running all the way from the fingertips down into the front of the knee. Last one. And then work your way back to center. Good. All right, we'll bring those hands out in front of you. Step that right foot back and step the left foot forward when you're ready. Good. If you can't get it there where you're going, you always walk it. Use the hand on the calf to push it forward. About a 90-degree bend in both legs. Check in on your stability first, and then walk the hand up to the knee. Good. Hands on the hips to even that out. Drop the outer left hip down. You're going to feel the inner thighs draw together slightly. Relax the shoulders. Good. Pull the head back, but not that you're arching the chin up, just that you're getting the back of the neck nice and long. When you feel stable, add the arms in. As we build on the next few little flows or practice, the next series of poses, feel free to always come from table and step into your lunge from this position. That's why we're kind of doing this now, to prep ourselves in case we need an option. Left hand is going to come to the hip, and that right arm is going to reach up and over. Good. See how that feels. If it's a little too much, add elbow to knee. So you're going to lean forward, or hand could go to the block. Good. Continue to push both hips forward. Feel that opening, front of the hip flexor, front of the right hip. Maybe look up for your last 2 breaths. Good. When you're ready, we'll come back up to center. Good. And step back to tabletop position. All right. So as I said, we're going to start to build. So the next part is stepping from downward dog into a warrior 1. If you need an option, you'll be in table, lunge first, and then you tuck that back toe under. Okay. All right. So let's set up for downward dog. Tuck the toes under and lift back. Good. The first one, all we're going to do is lift the right leg off the floor, heel towards the butt, and then place the right foot directly under your heart. Don't worry about the hands, just under your heart. Okay, once you get there, blocks or hands on the floor, push the left heel towards the floor. Even out through both legs, and then hands on the hips, nice and steady through the legs as you rise. If you start to wobble, wider stance, walk your right foot out. Good. Push both hips forward, slide the shoulder blades back, and then reach those hands up, upward facing hands position once again. Wrap the pinky fingers in and breathe here. Good, nice job. Notice what's happening in that front leg. Is everything pouring into the front leg? If that's the case, push the back heel down a little deeper. If everything's on the back leg, then start to lean a little bit more into the front leg. So you want even pressure in the legs. Let them both support you. All these little places we can bring awareness into the body brings us into the present moment. Gets us out of our head for a moment. When you're ready, we're going to straighten out the front leg, hands to the hips, and we come into our pyramid pose. Both hips move back, just like our lunge earlier, and we bring the spine as close to parallel to the floor as possible. Good. Gaze down at the right big toe. If this feels okay for you, you could try to extend the hands forward. This is going to challenge the upper back. If that's too much, fingertips to the blocks or even to your right shin. Take one more big breath. Think about extending from the hips to the fingertips. Exhale, bend the right leg, hands come down. Step back, downward dog. Nice job. Take a big inhale and a big exhale. One more just like that. We're going to lift the left foot off the floor, squeeze the heel towards the butt, and place the foot directly under the heart. Try not to swing the leg. Push the right heel down, set up for warrior one. On the other side, hands to hips, check in on stability first. And then when you're ready, lift those arms up. Good. So we find that stability from the floor up. We start with the legs, our stance, and then we bring it into the center of the body, which is going to be the most essential for balance. That tuck of the tailbone, drawing up on the front of the body, rib cage down, and then relax through the neck and shoulders. Settle into the breath. Find that even pressure in both feet. Good, nice job. We'll take one more inhale. Exhale, hands to hips, straighten out the front leg. Start to lean the chest forward. So think about lifting the heart up and over the knee. Good. Get length in the spine, making the spine parallel to the floor as close as possible, and then gaze down at the left big toe and make sure the left big toe is pushing down. It's not rolling to the pinky edge of the foot. Option to add those arms. So maybe you just do one arm. Try just the right arm first. That feels good. Maybe left arm's added. All core here. Strengthen the legs and that core in the low back. Pull the heart forward. Take one more breath. Maybe you might even smile. Not unheard of. And then slowly bring the hands down, bend the left knee, step back, downward dog. Good. Let's take a rest in table pose, a few cat-cows, or just a nice stationary position in table, whatever you need. Good. And we're going to continue to build from there. I'll say it again, your reminder that if you don't want to step the foot through from downward dog into the warrior one, you can always go from your table to your lunge first. All right, let's set back up, downward facing dog. So use all those aspects that we worked on, fingers spread, shoulders wrapped away from the ears, hips lifted, each time you come into the pose. So just because we're not doing it nice and slow doesn't mean we get rid of all of the awareness. Bring the toes to touch. This time we're going to lift the right leg straight back. So just see how high it goes. It's not to swing, it's just to see how high that right leg goes. And then we're going to step the right foot a little bit further, maybe out in front of the nose. Good. Still not quite to the hands. We're going to push the left heel down, reach those fingertips forward. Try one big movement, lift up warrior one. Good, nice job. Take a big inhale. And then we're going to start to put a little bit more pressure in the front leg and pivot the back heel up into a high lunge. Good. So that's a very subtle movement, but you're going to feel it in your back heel and then in the front of the hip where we did that lunge earlier. See if you can sink a little bit lower, hands to the hips if the arms need a break. All right, we're going to add a little bit more power by lowering slightly into the lunge as the arms reach out to the side, and then lift it back up. Don't straighten out the front leg completely, but just slightly. Lower it down. You decide the range of motion. So you decide how low and how high you come up. Good. We're going to try 3 more. Those legs might get a little shaky. Just get a smile in if that happens. Rest if the body needs to. Nice job. Last one. All right, come back down into that lunge, hands down, step back, downward dog. Feel free to give it some movement or just breathe. One more big inhale. Nice deep exhale. All right, toes come together at the back of the mat, left leg lifts. Just see how high you can get it without letting the arms shift or twist, shoulders stay nice and level, and then step the left foot under the nose, push the right heel down and go ahead and come up. Good, nice job. Settle into the breath. Good. Check in here, see what's going on in the shoulders, maybe deepen the left knee a little bit. And then once that feels okay, we're going to pivot the back heel up. Subtle movement, deepen into that high lunge. Good, nice job. Wrap the pinky fingers in, slide the shoulders down the back. As you exhale, we're going to lower even more. Bend that back knee. Good. Inhale, reach it up. So the front leg will straighten slightly. It's going to create a little bit of a wobble, but we use that stability through the center of the body. Nice job. Decide what makes sense for you. Let's do 3 more. Eyes focus at a non-moving point if that balance is really off today, and that happens. Last one. We'll bring it down, hands all the way down. Step back into your downward dog. Good. Find child's pose or tabletop position. And we have one more little set to build through. Take your time. Gather the breath back in. All right, nice job. When you're ready, we're coming back up to downward facing dog. So fingers spread wide, lift it up. Good. From here, inhale and bring the toes to touch. Exhale as you push the heels down. So notice where the shoulders are, notice where the feet are, and then start to float the right leg up without changing anything. Good. Get it as high as you can go. Maybe even point the toe. Really open up and keep the shoulders level. Take one more inhale. Challenge yourself in any way. And then bring that leg through. Try to step it between the hands. Doesn't land where you want, grab the hand or grab the calf with the hand and wiggle it the rest of the way there. Just might take a little condensing. With a wider stance, the back heel might already be lifted, and keep it that way, and we'll reach the fingertips forward and come on up. Good. If high lunge, coming up from the floor in high lunge is a little too much, scoot the back foot in, find warrior 1 instead. Back heel would be down. Otherwise, we'll keep that nice wide stance and settle into your high lunge. All right, let's see if we can get that same arm movement we started at the beginning of class by crossing right wrist over left and then pulling the pinky fingers back. Good. Feel the shoulder blades slide down the back. Back of the neck is long. And then see if you can deepen the legs. Relax the muscles of the face. Nice job. Last one. We're going to reach the hands out to the sides like an airplane. Place the belly on the thighs. Lift up to the very tip of the back toe. And then when you're ready, lift off into your warrior three. Good. Hands can always come down to blocks or the floor. Back toe can stay down and you just find balance here, strengthening the front leg. You might tap the back foot up and down a few times. Take one more big breath, open up, find any expression of the pose that makes sense in this moment, and then step it back, hands down, downward facing dog. Nice job. Big sigh to let that go. Let go of any expectation that you had for your body or your pose. All right, right into the other side, toes to touch. Big inhale, floats the left leg up. Notice what happens in the shoulders and the hips. See if you can maintain all of that level with the floor as you lift. Point the toe. Feel free to lift higher. Take an inhale. Exhale, left leg steps as close as you can get it between the thumbs. Wiggle it the rest of the way there. Good. And when you're ready, deepen into your high lunge. Back heel might already be lifted and lift up. Just like our warrior one, if you need more space width-wise, you can always wiggle that left foot out to the side. That's going to give you more stability. Good. Settle in, check in, and then we're going to cross left wrist over right. Pull the pinky fingers back so the elbows are deeply bent, almost like you're resting the back of your wrists on the top of the head. That's going to help get more opening in the shoulders. Deepen into the legs. Sides of the mouth turn up. Last one. Hands release, go out to the sides. Place the belly on the left thigh. And you know what's coming this time. So sometimes when we surprise ourselves into a balance pose, it works out better. We don't get our head involved. See what feels good for you. You can use the support around you. Coffee tables make great yoga props, especially for balancing. Good. Feel that strength building in the left leg. If you fall out of the pose, smile and laugh at yourself. Take one more breath wherever you are, and then step it back. All the way to downward dog. Great job. Take 3 long breaths here in your downward facing dog. Last one. And we'll lower back down. Child's pose. This time, make the knees nice and wide, maybe wider than they've been earlier in class. Wiggle the torso back like you're trying to bring the rib cage in between the thighs. And then either head can come down or you can make a little support for the head when you rest. Good. That physically challenging part of the... Oh, I spoke too soon. We have one more thing to do. And then the physically challenging part of the class will be done. All right, we can't work on a stability-focused class or a class focused on downward dog without addressing plank. So we'll get into that next, and then we'll relax. All right, so inhale forward into your tabletop position. If you are comfortable doing a full plank, feel free to add that in. I'm going to be doing knee down plank today. So we're going to come forward, pressing into the hands so the shoulders are directly over the crease of the wrists. Good. Look at the eyes of the elbows. That's this inside point of the elbow, and try to turn it in towards one another. You're going to feel the inner part of the palm engage. And then scoop the tailbone under and look out in front of you. Good. You should find that your hips come in line with the knees and the shoulders. If they drop down to the floor, that's a back bend. We don't want to do that. We want to be at that in-between point. Good. Squeeze the belly in. If you set up for here and you want to go a little further, toes can tuck under and you can lift those knees up. This is a full plank if that's what you're looking for today. Good. Continue to look out in front of you. Imagine there's a little mirror and you're smiling at yourself saying, yay, I did yoga today. Great job, self. And then when you're ready, knees come down if they're lifted and set back. Good. You can come into a kneeling position on the heels or lifted and just roll out those wrists. Good. Interweave the fingers. Just kind of roll them around a little bit. All right. We're going to do one more. So this time when we come into our knee down plank, set it up nice and strong in the arm, eyes of the elbows turn in towards one another, start to lift the chest. And then even if the knees are down, tuck those toes under and draw the tailbone underbelly in. Good. Continue to breathe. So notice if you're holding the breath. Good. Feel free to find a full plank. We're going to try for 3, 2, and 1. This time, shift back. Keep those toes tucked under and come up to downward facing dog. Good. The next 5 breaths, we're going to inhale, come as close as you can to a full plank. If the hips are still slightly lifted, that's fine. And then go back to downward dog. Try that 4 more times. Inhale. Just find some movement, nice fluid movement to work out everything you've done. Close to the last one. Finish it out. And lower it down. Great job. Roll out those wrists. And then we're going to come to sit on the right hip. Now I'll give you some options for our twists. So if you have props, a blanket, or pillow blocks, you're going to bring them to the outside of your right hip, the side here. And there's a couple ways to try this pose out. So I like to call it a mermaid twist. And the legs are just kind of draped to the side, just like you're a nice, wonderful mermaid. If that feels comfortable for you, you're going to twist down towards the floor and you'll let those elbows come down. Okay. If you want a little bit more of a hip opener, we're going to work to bring the knees into 90-degree angles. So you're going to bring this shin up to the front of the mat. And then you're going to let the other shin come back. So we call these 90, 90, 90s. You have a 90-degree angle in your knee, your ankle, your hips, so this here, and then your back knee and your back ankle. Okay. If that is too much for you, it might be, then you're going to come back to that mermaid pose. We're going to inhale, pull forward up over that right leg, and then walk the hands out. You might just come down towards the floor and bend the elbows. You could use your props to bring the floor to you. Okay. You could stack the hands and make a little rest for your forehead here. The idea is to kind of wring out the spine, draw the belly in, and feel some opening in the right hip. So if any of that is going on, you're doing good. Think about lengthening the back of the neck. Feel the hips settle back and down as you relax into the posture. And if you're choosing to follow along with our weekly plan, there's a Yin practice towards the end of this week, which is wonderful. And this is a little taste of Yin, really great after an active class like we've had. This just lets the body completely release. Kind of set it up in the posture and we let go. Good. You might notice the ability to move just slightly deeper for the last few breath cycles. So we spend a little bit more time in these poses in order to deepen as much as we can. Let's take one more full breath. And then slowly begin to walk your way up. We'll transition nice and slow to the other side. So you can just lift those knees up and just kind of flop the legs over to the other side. That feels okay. Slide your props around. And each side might be different, especially if you have one hip that doesn't feel quite right. You can always come into that mermaid pose. And that's just kind of like the legs are draped to the side. So you don't have that big angle in the hips and the knees and the ankles. Otherwise, you'll find your 90-degree angles, looking down to check in on your posture, find that foundation, and then inhale to lift the torso up over that leg. Good. Create length and then slowly walk out. If your low back's telling you to just pause, then do that. You have some time here to ease your way into the posture. Just finding that ease after lots and lots of effort. Just as we did in the beginning of class, if the mind starts to move around, want to take you into what's already happened or what's going to happen next, just use your breath to bring it back to the present moment. There's nothing wrong with that happening. It happens to all of us. But you always have the power and ability to bring your attention back. Take 2 more full breaths. And we'll slowly begin to walk our hands up. All right, we're going to draw the legs together. So you can sit facing whichever direction feels good for you. And we're going to come into our last seated pose. And this is a seated forward fold. So if sitting up in this position with the legs extended is already uncomfortable, I suggest using something under the hips. So you could even just fold the edge of your mat and stuff it under the hips a little bit. That creates a little bit more space. Then we're going to pull the stuff out of the way to get the sit bones grounded, and then flex the feet. And a slight bend in the knees is perfectly fine too. Good. Push down into the fingertips and think about lengthening up through the top of the head. All right, first we're taking a little bit of activation to feel the torso get long. And then we're going to reach those arms up, come up into that upward facing hands pose. And then lean forward. Good. Think about pushing your heart towards the toes, and you might just come a few inches forward and decide to let the hands rest there. Good. If you want to continue to lengthen, feel the chest lift, lifting the belly up over the thighs. If you need a little bit more space between the legs, that can often make the pose more comfortable. Hands can come to the back of the knees, maybe the ankles. With your next inhale, look up, pull the heart forward once again, get that stretch in the low back. And then you can let the shoulders round, you can let the head come down. Good. If you want to use your pillow draped over the legs or even a block for the forehead, you can do that here. Good. Lots of options. Say it often in our restorative classes, yin classes. You can build whatever prop structure you need for your body. Good. And the idea here, since we're spending a little bit more time, is not to come into the most intense stretch. So if your whole body is exerting all the effort, try to back off. Go at about 50%, maybe 60, and just let your body take the shape nice and slow. All right, we have about 3 more breath cycles, a great time to sigh out whatever you no longer need. Walking the hands up the legs, coming all the way back up to sit. Just noticing that sensation that comes with getting out of the pose. And then we'll meet on our back. As you come down, pull the knees into the chest and just feel the back of the body release towards the floor. Good, nice job. Circling the low back down. All right, we're going to bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, and then take the right ankle over the left knee. Right ankle over the left knee. Good. And it's a similar pose. We're getting that outer right hip that we did in our twist, but we're going to push that right knee away. And if this is enough, you just stay right here and breathe. If you want a little bit more, you're going to lift the left foot off the floor and hug around that thigh. We call this thread the needle. You decide what makes sense for you. If it gets a little too intense here with the leg lifted in that outer right hip, you can always bring the foot back down. Good. We're trying to bring this right shin parallel to the chest. Getting a little bit of a pigeon feel to it. Okay. And these hip openers create a lot of space for the low back. So if you would like to continue to rock side to side, I think it feels great for the low back. Take about 2 or 3 more breaths here. Nice job. When you're ready, we'll bring that left foot back down. Good, right foot follows. And then left ankle is going to come over right knee. Just as the other side, you may need to do something different, one side to the other. Take your time here, check in, and then lift the right foot off the floor, thread the needle if you'd like. Any movement, you can even push your left elbow into the inside of the left knee to create more of a hip opener. Using the sound of the breath to hold you in this space. Noticing your inhales and your exhales. And about 3 more. The end of that next breath. Bring the feet back down. Good. You can let those legs just windshield wiper side to side, getting any last tension from the low back to release. And then we're going to come into our final relaxation pose, Shavasana. Good. The dessert part of our practice where we get to enjoy all the benefits of the postures we've done. So if you'd like, you can just let the feet go a little wide, let the knees fall together, slide the shoulder blades under the back. That's a great option if your low back gives you trouble by laying flat. Or, of course, extend those legs out and come into a nice flat position. Let the feet flop open. As you get set up, feel free to cover up, make yourself as comfortable as possible. Okay. We'll notice the breath once again. Maybe taking a quick body scan. Anywhere else in the body that you're still holding on to tension. Letting the space around you also fall into silence and stillness. Even if that is able to happen or not, you can kind of create that little place of silence and stillness in your mind, no matter what's going on around you. Feeling the back of the body truly let go, finding ease. Take a slow, steady inhale. Start to bring some movement back to the surface of the body. Wiggling fingers and toes, rolling out wrists and ankles. One by one, we'll bend the knees and place the feet on the floor. And then roll to one side and rest here for a moment. Take a moment to thank your body and mind for making space for your practice today, for the work that it's done. When you're ready, slowly and gently coming up. Feel free to gather the hands at the heart center. You can gather them in the lap. Good. Acknowledging the kindness that you've given to yourself today by being in tune with the breath and the present moment. Help send a little bit of kindness and ease into our world. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste.